Today we install Detroit Speed mini tub setup in a 71 Camaro. Let's do it. What's going on, guys? Matt right here, Lethal Garage, and today we are taking on a project that I can't do on my own. I've never done this. I've never welded. I've never done anything. But I got two fine gentlemen here, some of the best guys I know, Craig and Heath. They both have older cars, but actually Heath's got a really nice Camaro. Craig used to have a 71 Camaro, so there's like more knowledge in here minus my brain than I know what to do with. But today we're going to start installing mini tubs from Detroit Speed. Now the setup is, in my mind, pretty straightforward, but it requires a lot of work that Craig's actually reading the instructions like a smart human being, and Heath is over there cutting out the templates already. And really, Detroit Speed gives you an all-in-one package that is pretty straightforward. So if you know how to do a little bit of metalworking or are willing to learn, and you're willing to cut and drill holes and weld things up in your car, this kit may be for you. You may be asking, well, why would you do a mini tub kit? Well, when these cars were designed and built, they weren't designed and built to hold 600-700 horsepower like us guys want these days. And in that being stated, the tires and wheel setups that they set up back then, they were tiny. They were small because they had motors 200 horsepower. They didn't need that much rubber in the back. Well, now we do. We want to put a big fat tire back there and make it look pretty. Again, this car's not going to be a race car, but I want it to look good, and I want it to be able to put down the power when I do want to romp on it. So insert mini tub kit. So let's get right into this kit, talk about all the parts and pieces that come with it, and start this install or rip apart. Are we ripping things apart or installing first? We're ripping it apart. Cutting it.
Cutting it out.
Surgical cuts.
To the template.
To the template. It's all templatized. So the kit itself, I did the full rear end setup, and the kit itself, we're gonna be focusing on just the mini tub setup. So you're gonna get the two mini tubs and some pre-cut steel plating for the frame rails, I believe. Is that right? Frame rails? And then they also give you templates for everything. So Craig's holding up one of the templates here. This is the leaf spring pocket mount template and a couple other things. We'll obviously get to those when we line them all up. But the other thing is they do give you templates on how to trim your rear seats, because obviously you're gonna lose some back seat space going from, here, let me show you.
2 inches to 4.
So we're going from 2 inches to 4 inches. Still inadequate, right? But all that being stated, it really just comes down to getting the templates cut out really nice. So we gave Heath the job because he's got the best eyes of everybody. And and at some point we'll have to get him to bring it. Your Camaro's running again, right? You got the new trans in and everything. So he's got a beautiful yellow 60, is it a 69? 67, never mind. See, I'm fired. It's been a while since I've seen it, so I've forgotten now. It's been hidden away, but she's alive again and good. And they just did a trans swap on it. It's got a 427 in it, just like we're putting in this one. So maybe we'll have to line up our pretty cars with normal street tires and see what happens at some point when this runs. Okay, mini tub kit. Let's get the templates cut out and we'll start walking you through what we're doing. Now, one of the biggest benefits in my instance is I have a car that is completely gutted. So there's no like ripping out interior, no figuring out stuff. And the big thing here, guys, is, you know, we're gonna be media blasting and stripping this car down. So that's why we're doing the mini tub kit first. We're basically gonna patch up all the holes in the firewall and the floor well, and we're gonna get the mini tub in. And at that point, then we will media blast the entire vehicle, because we want to get all the welding that we think we need to get done before all that happens. So yeah, if your car is a car that's sitting here already built, ready to go, you're gonna have a lot more steps to complete here, such as removing your back seats and all that kind of stuff. I mean, we're gonna be chopping and grinding. I mean, in reality, you probably want to pull out everything you can, or you're gonna be taping off and covering up as much as you can. I got a gutted car, so I got it easy, I think. We'll find out. let's do it. So one of the biggest downsides is I currently don't have a good rear deck and a good back panel. So there's a little bit of the template that we can't really mark and cut, but
Here's your air for this one.
we laid the template out and made our marks. Got the first upper one all the way to the edge, and now we got to cut along this downside edge and lop it off. Now in instances they drill these out, but because this whole panel for me is missing, we're getting a new panel that's going to replace all of this. Children, always wear eye protection. At this point, we're basically getting the templates laid out in place. You can see we have the lower template in place right here, lined up with the front of wheel well and the frame wheel. Then we're gonna get the line coming straight up. We're cleaning everything up. And Craig's being loud. Okay, so we have the lower, what are we calling this? The lower wheel well, our inner wheel well front template. Because we have a 71, we trimmed off this excess piece that was sitting here on the inside edge. Later models may need that piece to remain. But basically what you're doing is you're lining up this front edge, this line, with the edge of the wheel well. This tab should sit flush on the factory door frame, which it is. We got it tucked up really nice and tight. It's gonna come right up against the edge. Now, you will be relocating your seatbelt positioning. So they have this hole that you need to leave this on here so you can make your mark on the left and right side. And that being stated, we center hole punched it so we know where that's gonna be, and then we'll cut this off so we can mark our line, and that's where we're gonna cut. Now, the other side is all the way up, it's gonna follow a 2-inch line from the bottom all the way to the top, and then there's another template that you'd see Heath up with that's lined up. And basically we lined up the point of that template to wrap around the rear of the wheel well, and then we're just measuring 2 inches out for a nice perfect cut. Now in this instance, we're actually not doing exactly 2 inches. We want to give ourselves a little bit of meat, so that way we can make it perfect and not cut too much, because if you do cut too much, that's going to be a nightmare. So we got it all lined up, all taped in place, and making our marks. Center hole punch, we'll get it left and right side, and then the next step is just eat into this bad boy. So let's get to it. Now, like the other side, we're doing the same exact thing. We're just flipping the template over, getting it all lined up. I used a Scotch-Brite pad, cleaned it all up so we had a somewhat clean edge. The tape will stick better for this. And then on top of that, the back side as well. So we're gonna get in there, lay the template out. Now we can at least come over and see the markings of at least what it looked like. So you can see our markings on there all the way up, over, and through the back. So we have our cut line. Now that we have the driver passenger side marked, we are cutting out along our line. So we're cutting along the upper edge of the fender or the wheel well, and then we're gonna cut along our line. We have cut the main portion of the wheel well out. We cleaned up this edge a little bit, so that way we have a nice flat edge. We'll clean it up with a feather wheel just to get it ready for welding and whatnot. But we still have our fine cuts to do based on our markings. We'll do that with a smaller tool. We've just been using a 4.5-inch wheel, getting these initial cuts out from top to bottom. You can see it over here. Inside edges aren't cleaned up because we're cutting those out. So we're making some progress, got it done. Got both Heath and Craig in here ripping this thing apart, doing an amazing work. So let's get the rest of it cut out. Little update, we haven't cut the fine cuts yet. We're gonna run to Harbor Freight, get a few little tools, but you can see we did clean up this edge nice and clean, so that way we don't have to do too much work once we get ready. We tarped the garage to section off the side that we're working on because this is messy. But they're getting the fine cut all the way through.
What do we need now to cut this, Craig?
Yeah, just to come across this edge. You can sit there and work it with your plier.
They're working at it.
Sit there and try it with this thing and see if I can get through that bulb.
Let's see if we get some light in here.
Here, let me see if I can get through this bulb.
But making some good headway and getting the whole thing removed. Okay guys, we got the first side cut, trim, and fitted. There's still a few more things to do according to Heath and Craig, but dang. Mini tub, passenger side. So at this point we've been playing just touch up and squeeze and getting fitment. Now you can see Heath is holding a flange in position. Let's get down here so you guys can see it. But these flanges are welded in place that then allow you to weld the mini tub to it to add additional strength and support. There's a flange there, and then there's another flange that goes up and over, which Heath is grabbing for the other side. Now you can see where they've left some openings to the shock tower to give you some touch points to box it all in, but outside of that, these flanges have to be bent to your cut so they come flat. We used, or Heath used some of just his strength and ingenuity and got them bent around. You can see the parts and pieces just flexed to our contours and everything. And really our next steps are to tack them in and get things going for this side. Now we haven't touched the other side, but it's going to be a rinse and repeat of what we're doing here. So as far as where we're at with this, we're going to come back tomorrow and rip this side out and get the flanges bent in position, and then we're going to end the video there, and then we'll come back and do all the welding as a separate video. For day 2, got Heath here back getting at it. We got the car kind of cleaned out, and as you can see, yesterday's work again, basically just rinsing and repeating the work on the other side. So Heath has already started chopping away at the original wheel well. We're going to get that cut out, and then we're going to start doing our fine cuts where we made our marks. Now there's a lot more to this, so we're just going to go ahead and get all this chopped out and then go from there. Slight update, got Heath down here hiding. But as you can see, we got the main cuts out, so now it's going to be sanding down flat, feathering it out, making it look all nice and pretty like we did over here. So yeah, making some really good progress. As you guys saw in the back and forth with the time lapse, just a lot of refinement, a lot of trimming, a lot of editing, but I mean, this thing fits like a glove. Heath, you are pro status, my friend. I mean, literally, if we didn't have to put those solid rails at the bottom, I mean, you just weld this in, done. So like the passenger side, we have the metal templates that basically are gonna tack weld up to the leading edge that we just cut. And this is what gives the mini tub something solid to weld up against. Obviously the inside will be tacked a little bit, but the lower edge and everything will be tacked to something solid. And Heath is now bending, or getting the initial bend to the template. Now I will say I'm a little shocked that Detroit Speed doesn't pre-bend these to the shape of the template. I mean, I guess I get why, because not every car is gonna have the same cut, but I mean, even having a somewhat close to the template start probably would have been a little bit easier. What do you think, Heath?
I agree.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But outside of that, Heath's using his knee and a vise, my mobile device, or device, that's a vise, and just getting it pretty dang close. He already did the rear one. We have that one C-clamped in position over there right now. The driver's side was actually really easy, and we've noticed the driver's side's what the instructions were built on, and I think the driver's side is a little bit easier, according to Heath. Because I have no first-hand knowledge, just first-hand viewing. But again, just getting the contours and everything close to the template. We'll bring it over to the car. We'll make all the final little bends and adjustments to match our cut. And then we're basically getting ready to clean everything up, C-clamp it in, and we can tack these in place and be ready to start getting everything final stitched and tacked and all that good stuff. You can kind of see it. First attempt, not even holding it up to the fender, he's pretty dang close. But also, you can also see Heath's Sharpie marker. That's kind of how much of the wheel well hangs down below the floor, so you can kind of get an idea of how that's going to line up on the metal piece and be able to be welded to it. And then we'll come back after we have everything lined up and in place on the driver's side, and we'll show you what it all looks like. We have the mini tub, and we got to prep it for welding. And what we're doing is we're drilling 9 30-second holes about halfway. I'd say it's at the halfway point. He's getting crazy, making sure I don't completely mess it up. So he's doing a center punch and mark the holes at 1 3/4 inches apart all the way around. So we're gonna get that done and just completing the steps per the directions and getting ready for welding. So as you can see, got all of our holes drilled. Heath cleaned them up like a pro. Right? No? Yeah. Good to go. Well guys, we made some really good progress here. I was kind of hoping to be able to show you the metal bars, which are sitting right here, and get those tacked in, but we just ran out of time. So we spent a lot of time just getting some fine pieces in, getting things cut in a little bit tighter, putting some reliefs here and there to get a more tight fit overall. But overall, the mini tub kit is fully cut in, and everything's kind of trimmed up and shaved up, ready for paint in primer for welding, or weld in primer, whatever you guys want to call that, and getting stuff just ready to go. So we got our welder dialed in and working for the gauge metal that we're working with, and we're just overall in a really good spot. I'm going to end this video here as being part 1 of the mini tub setup. The next part is going to be all the tack in, all of the weld prep, and then welding all the way to the finish, and then we'll probably even do the rear brackets as well for the new leaf springs. So that's all going to be part of that video. So appreciate you guys checking this one out. Hopefully there was some helpful hints here and some good information if you guys were looking to do this, or even just showing you the process. Obviously I have a car that's completely gutted. Now it's filled with tools and other parts, but we're obviously in a much easier spot to do this with this vehicle. You know, really the next process is, once we get these in, we're gonna go around and start spot welding and patching up areas that need to be done, including the firewall and the rear seats. There's a couple pinholes in the trunk. We're just gonna address all of that and get the car really ready to be media blasted. So once we get the basic patch in stuff, I'm gonna cut out the rest of the roll cage. We're gonna start fitting interior parts and pieces, get the rear seats and all that stuff set up for the mini tub, and just be ready for the media blast, so that way we can get the undercoating on and get this thing all dialed in. So I'm really excited on where we're at right now. We're making a lot of progress, and it's gonna start snowballing real quick in the process. So here's to early spring car up and running, and I think we can get there. So that's the hope. But thanks for checking out this video. Huge shout out to Detroit Speed for working with me on this build. They did give me the products at a sponsored rate. I need to highlight that for everyone. So as always, big shout out to them. They make great products, great stuff. Check them out. Links are down below in the description. And any of the other products that I found that have been easy to use, or easier that we've been using, I guess you can say, ask about it. Post in the description. I'll let you know where we got it. We picked up a lot of the pads and sanding stuff and everything at Harbor Freight, super cheap. Not the best on the market, but it's really cheap and it works. So yeah, that's all I got. So part 1 in the bag. Lots to do. Subscribe if you guys want more 71 Camaro build content. We have a lot to do, and we'll be doing videos of all things. So thanks for checking it out, and until next time, hope to see you on the road.